You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother, Ted Keys, and the return of the Joseph Aguirre. You can check out Keys to the City on all social media platforms at Keys to the City. Joseph, I usually don't ask this, but how the hell are you doing? Because it's been such a long time since you've been on the show. So I know you've been dealing with some stuff.
Yeah,
How the hell are you? I don't have to ask Ted. I talk to Ted.
doing
every day.
great. Yeah, I for anybody who doesn't know, I had a heart attack and I had some surgery on the heart. Put a couple stents in. I went in again for more stents, and as of last month, and I go to my doctor next week. But everything is aces. A miraculous recovery, heart full functioning, which means my wiffle ball career will not in any way get held up. So that's the exciting news here.
Joe, I got some exciting news. If you ever need a replacement, I got weekends off a little bit now, so you could always need help on a Sunday. You just got to get. Just give
Come
me
on,
like.
are you kidding? By the time that happens, you'll be intoxicated if on
No,
Sunday.
I don't drink every Sunday, Chester. Stop.
Well, with the weather coming, you
Yeah,
guys
let
are
me
getting-
tell you something. If you don't think there's drinking at wiffle ball,
well, you
kidding
guys are having
yourself.
some nice weather. Finally, the weather's
sometimes
finally
play
coming
be-
around.
I play better sometimes. So, but no, honestly, just give me a 24-hour notice. Realistic, if you need a real like.
yeah, for sure.
I
Love it,
also
Teddy.
noticed the
Love
big
it.
change that D. Joseph Aguirre has finally gotten rid of that man bun.
I did. Yeah, short hair don't care.
He's finally
Yeah.
gotten rid of the man bun. It was long overdue. It was you had that growing from the beginning of COVID all the way till like
I was being called Jason Momoa on a regular basis. I had to roll with that for as long as I could. You know what I mean?
just a short and stocky version of him, right?
Yeah. If Jack Black had a kid with Jason Momoa, that's
Fair
what
enough.
it would be.
Well, speaking of long time, that was always the biggest issue with the baseball world. And I've just been reading articles and stuff. I know you guys been watching baseball. We're just going to talk about the overall landscape of baseball. I know we're Yankee fans. We always talk about Yankees, but we haven't really talked baseball yet. I haven't really dug into the season so far. But you look at how the changes went into effect. People thought there would be problems. It's actually been working out. And I think the big thing is to fans, it's not just the diehard fans like us that already love baseball. It doesn't matter if it was 5 hours. I know some people would complain even if you're a diehard, but it's the fans that are not really into baseball. The fans that you're trying to get, the fans that, don't care for baseball. They want to try to just, let's go watch football or basketball because they're more exciting. Well, with these changes now, maybe just maybe you can get those regular casual fans. Just got some quick tidbits of notes. The average length of game this year, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 38 minutes to be exact, compared to last year, 3 hours and 9 minutes. It's also on track since 1984 to be the shortest length of games at 2 hours and 35 minutes. So with these changes, the pitch clock, the shift, some more stolen bases, everything's up. Singles are up, stolen bases are up, averages are up now. So this is what, when we watch baseball, it's like football. When we watch football, we want to see big plays, we want to see touchdowns, we want to see highlights. Basketball, 3 points, 3-pointers, dunks. Baseball, it's about home runs, getting on base, stolen bases, action. That's what fans care about now in sports. Hockey is the same way. They want goals, they want the tricks, they want all of that. Baseball's starting to maybe be, come back to that reality, because I feel like there was the one sport, Ted, that this sport was way out of touch with reality. Your song, it's like Daryl Hall and Oates. You're out of touch, right, Ted? This is what baseball was the perfect example of that. Is that like, come on, when you see baseball right now, when you see baseball going on, Ted, I know you've been watching a lot of Yankees, but you see baseball.
Yeah,
you
I
see
pretty much watched every game so far.
Everything looks like it's working with these changes. So when you see the overall landscape of baseball right now, is that your biggest, 2 weeks coming in? Is that what your biggest talking point so far?
I mean, that was when we did the show and we did talk a little bit right before the thing. That was my first take, was how I was going to take. I don't think baseball's been ever better. I don't think baseball's ever been better since maybe the 90s when home runs were through the roof because of steroids. I just think the game of baseball is better. Finally, Major League Baseball got the hint. Like, I get it. majority of people that watch baseball are old timers. Literally, it's probably people older than me, 35 and older, that are true baseball fans. Most of the people that are in their 20s don't give a shit about baseball. They don't, because it's too boring. It wasn't enough action.
Yeah.
This is the best thing to keep baseball fans involved. All right, because baseball. We've been doing this show since what? I don't know, 2017 when we went to school. We met Joe as a teacher. Blah, blah. Baseball's never been better. Between all the guys, when we've done this before, where you're talking about like the Trouts and Otanis and Judge, and you get to like the top 20 guys, and it's like, oh, Ronald Acuna could be like the 10th best guy. You're like, what? And so the talent has never been, I think, better in baseball throughout the whole league. All right, yeah, just the talent throughout the whole league is just, it's great. All right,
yeah.
So which makes it. But then, how do we get that talent, and then how do we make the game better? Like, how do we bring out their best qualities? Right, so. We don't make the field 500 yards. We bring them in. We get home runs. We take away the shifts so we don't have to see, 5 guys on the right side. Listen, baseball is better because what do we want? We want action, right? We want runs. We want scoring. Now, listen, you're still going to get 1-0 games like the Rays won last night to have their 10th consecutive win. You're still going to get great pitching performances. See the guy, Andrew Haney, the guy that used to be on the Yankees, 9 straight days. Woo!
Yikes.
I mean, so but you're seeing You're seeing phenomenal things. You're seeing Shohei Ohtani, literally the best baseball player in the world. He could win the Cy Young and the MVP this year. I mean, his team will still win 60 games.
I mean, look at Judge right now. He's on pace to have. He's on pace to shatter his record last year.
I think it's almost like I'm thinking of like John Elway or like Steve Young. Like, you got to get the monkey off back. I think what Judge did last year, I think releases a lot of tension that was built up in the first 4 or 5 years of his Yankee career. Now it's like he can play more freely, almost like A-Rod. You know what I mean? It was just like he can't. No, you're wrong about that. No.
Then I'll get Joe. Let me get into this.
I'll just put it this way: baseball, I think, in general, has never been better. You started off with the
okay. I want to cut you off for a sec. You said something. I'm going to cut you off because you said something. You said that Judge can play freely. The pressure's off. No, the pressure's still on for Aaron Judge because now, dude, we've talked about this. We talked about this over and over. I feel like I feel like a tape recorder just on repeat. Hold on.
Hold on. This is not a. I get it.
Joe, me when I try to make a point.
Hold on. Joe's going to come in and break the tie, and this is not about just. I understand. We can get into the postseason. Okay, we can get into that whole crap about he doesn't play. We're not talking about the postseason right now. We're talking about the first week. You can just see him as a batter up there with a lot more confidence and batting a little bit more freely. Like, it's like, okay, I got the MVP. I know I can do this, and I know I can do better than I did last year, which is hard to fathom as a Yankee fan who watched a lot of games. You're like, this is incredible when we don't see this in this era. And it's like, you know what? He's playing better ball this year right now, early in the beginning of the season, than he did last year. And remember, last year, he had a slow April. It wasn't until the first week of May that he started to progress. Remember, he had a slow April. God forbid he ever had a great April. He has 70 home runs last year.
Joe, you want to break the tie?
That's all I'm bringing up. I'm not talking about postseason. I'm not talking about being clutch.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a team award.
I actually agree with both of you. Which I know doesn't really
help. We still come to a tie.
It's still going to be a tie. Listen, I see what Teddy's saying. Aaron Judge is playing with like reckless abandon. It's a guy who's secure that he got his contract and now doesn't feel the pressure of playing for a contract. He's playing to play.
He's the captain.
He knows. Yeah. Now, to Trevor's point, there's a ton of pressure to live up to. New York just paid you $1 zillion to win games, but I think, there you go. So there's the added responsibility. So there's a lot more pressure on him, but because he has this lifetime contract, basically, he can play, like Teddy said, sort of with reckless abandon. I mean, he made that dive and catch the other night. He's all in, dude. He's all in. He looks loose. He looks great at the plate. I would say to me, the other key thing that generally speaking, when there's a really good Aaron Judge, it's because there's a really good Giancarlo Stanton in that lineup, and he's off to a great start as well. And I'm telling you, those two guys in that lineup together, when they're both healthy and there, nobody wants to face that.
I agree 100%. I think the best thing for baseball, hopefully the stars can stay healthy. Guys like Mike Trout, you want to see Mike Trout healthy. You want to see Otani healthy. You want to see Judge, Machado, Harper. You want to see all these guys because we saw one year in the NFL where all the quarterbacks were going down left and right, and it just hurts the ratings. And for baseball, you need to have those ratings because, well, first of all, it isn't the NBA. It isn't the football. It's not the NFL because people in this country prefer to watch those sports. So you're trying to do everything you can to catch up to those other two leagues. And with those guys like Aaron Judge, with Otani playing well, that brings viewers, that brings eyes to the TVs.
Yeah,
And
you know
that's
what?
all you can ask for. But also the biggest thing that we've always talked about, what's the number one thing when we talk about baseball? It's boring and long. Well,
Yeah.
what the numbers say in the first 2 weeks, guys, it's cut drastically down to a half hour.
Listen,
That's
I
something. That's something.
remember games that went 75 minutes when Greg Maddux was on the mound. So we always knew this kind of thing was possible if you work fast and throw strikes.
Yeah.
Teddy made another really great point though in that look at a team like the Milwaukee Brewers right now, or you look at that young Atlanta Braves team, obviously the Rays. Look at some of these young teams. Baltimore is playing pretty well out of the gate. Like Teddy said, there is an immense amount of talent all around the league.
Yes.
And, you know, it's funny because I remember in the late 80s when Tony La Russa started bringing the mix and match thing with Greg Cadaret, who would eventually make his way to the Yankees, and Eric Plunk and that whole bullpen working their way to Dennis Eckersley. And people hated that when he started doing it. Like, we forget. People hate it. Like, what is he doing? The starter just stays in the game, and you don't take a reliever out. He's a reliever. If the reliever gives up a dozen runs, then that's a bad night on him. That was just sort of the mindset then, and people hated that. And now this is adjusting to the specialists, right? And the shift and everything. And now we're trying to balance everything out. I'll tell you, this is the way baseball is supposed to be.
Because last year was the reliever thing where if you came in, you had to face 3 batters unless it was at the end of the inning. So you like that because here's the thing, man. All those pitching changes take time. You know, you got to go to commercial. It's pretty much a 10-minute window. So if you're making, say, 5 pitching changes in a game, that's almost an extra 45 minutes maybe to a baseball game. Give or take, I don't know. You know, commercials maybe 3 to 5 minutes. But even if it's an extra half hour, there's your extra half hour that we lost. You know, or gained, depending on how you look at it. You know, half cup, full cup. It's definitely, the game is definitely better, right? You're going to get more runs. You're going to see guys. I think you'll get more guys to bat 300. All right. We talked about it, Trev, I think last week or 2 weeks ago when we did the show. Steals are up, which means that's entertaining because there's movement on the base bats. It's not just foul ball, strikeout, bunt out, ground out, home run. You know, there's now we got sacks. Now there's no shifts. There's running. There's steals. Guys, teams that
How about all the stolen bases? How awesome is that? I mean, it's like the 80s.
It's great to see. That brings entertainment to the game. Also, you know, the pitcher can only throw over, I believe, twice in an inning. I think that is, or twice at a batter. I don't know the exact thing, but
twice per at bat.
Okay, so once you know that, then you know he can't throw over. So that gives you. Listen, that just brings entertainment. I threw an idea as a joke last night to work with one of the guys. I'm like, if soccer wanted to make something interesting, make a 1 goal, a 2 goal, and a 3 goal. And you're like, what do you mean? If you score inside the box, it's 1 goal. If you score outside the box, it's 2 goals. If it's outside 25 yards, it's a 3-point goal. So then if you watch soccer and you're like, oh, shit, team won 10-4. All that. Well, they hit 2 3-pointers and 2, you know, and so that would at least, I would feel like in our America world that we live in, would make it at least more entertaining. Imagine being down like 2-1 and you could hit a 2-pointer to win the game at 3-2, like a goal. You know what I mean? It's not a chip shot. It's just like hockey. They changed the goalie pads, the things, the blue line, the double passes. It's just so they could have more freelance through the game, which adds more goals, which makes the game more entertaining. Baseball, you take away the shift. For us Yankee fans, we could talk about it. Like a guy like Rizzo. How many more hits is he going to get this season? Maybe 20, 30 more hits this year because of no shifts. You know, his average instead of batting 240 might be 275. I think another thing that we haven't talked about, and I know whichever we want to talk about baseball, but Gleyber Torres is playing really well. Listen, we understand he's going to have to finish the season on the defense. We've been talking about that. But you'll give that up when he's got an on-base percentage of 579 or so. So he's been really playing well. And, you know, if you get a guy like that who plays like the guy that we thought we got 3-4 years ago, You know, Joe just said it. Stanton, he's hot right now. He'll probably have an injury somewhere, but that's okay. If we get 120 games out of him, I'll take it. Judge, I like to get 140 out of him. You know, my thing is if I can get my 7 main starters 140 games, that's great. I know that's not realistic. You know, we're dealing with some injuries in the pitching staff, but listen, everyone is. I just looked Ian Anderson from the Braves, Tommy John surgery. He'll be out for the season. You know, we're going to get our weapons back. We're going to get Severino back. We're going to get Rendon. So the only good thing I would say to that is they're not getting innings used right now. So, you know, it's not about April right now because we know this in baseball. It's an eternity, bro. It's, you know, it's so long of a season. You look at the Braves when they won the World Series. They had an awful first half, and then when June baseball started,
How about a couple years ago?
I think they played almost 700 baseball.
A couple of years ago was with the Nationals too. They were one of the worst teams.
Oh, yes.
The break, and they came back and they ended up beating Houston in the World Series. I think we got to talk about not the New York Yankees. We got to talk about the team right now that's dominating baseball. Now I get it. Everybody, I watched PTI yesterday, and they were talking about, well, they haven't really played anybody. Can we just talk about the Tampa Bay Rays franchise as a whole? I mean, this is not just 1 year. I get it. They're 10-0. Just a couple more stats about how great the start is. First team since 1987, Brewers, to open the season with 10 straight wins.
They were 13-0.
87 Brewers and 82 Braves shared the MLB record for the greatest start at 13.
Higuera was there.
That's not true.
Starter.
It literally is. The
St. Louis Maroons in 1884 were 20-0. The 1884 New York Gothams were 12-0.
So let CBS know that, Ted, because they were wrong.
Well, guess what?
Not me.
Then guess what? Go to MLB.com, and it's the first thing I'm saying about the great season of the Rays. And I knew you were going to speak about that, and that's why I wanted to correct you.
And also, well, it's not my fault. I got it from CBS. So tell those morons then, I guess.
Well, guess what? I got your job, kid.
Yeah, great. The media field of the world. Also, last night they broke a streak. Their first win, not winning by 4 or more runs. That was 1 game shy of Ted, but you didn't know this one. The 1939 New York Yankees were the most recent team to do that. They are at a plus 58 point differential. Now, I get it. We're only 10 games in. Everybody's, wow. But still, this is not just about this year. This is about previous years. I get it. They haven't won a World Series. But to see this team, how they've been able to consistently get to the postseason, consistently get to an ALCS, even get to a World Series a couple times with the payroll that they have. They got some players. They got the greatest postseason hitter, Joe, and Randy Arozarena, the best postseason hitter of all time.
He's
Come on,
great.
he had the most hits ever.
Most hits in the most games with the most at-bats. Amazing.
But they do have guys. They have a great pitching staff. They also got Wander Franco, who's a bidding superstar in the making. I don't know how this team does it. It's a fascinating situation how this team each and every year consistently finds ways to win and consistently is in the running for the AL East and even winning an AL pennant. It's just fascinating, Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you get a guy like a Drew Rasmussen who was kind of a cast-off. He's 17-7 since he's been there. Life wasn't going well for Rasmussen before that. I got Jeffrey Springs for $1 in my fantasy draft. Nobody in my 12-person league knew who that was. He's 2-0, and his whip is .23.
I don't know.
There you go, dude. But
I don't know
these guys, listen, here's what the Rays have done an excellent job of doing. They not only draft well, because they clearly do that, but they tend to find cast-offs, guys you didn't see value in, and somehow turn these guys into budding superstars.
That's got to go to developmental. Their developmental programs.
There's something you got to find out what they're doing, because it's fascinating the way that they can plug pretty much anybody in down there, and they just play exceptionally well. Or listen, I think the other thing that and it's the evolution of baseball is, having guys that are 6'4" and up that throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Their best pitcher hasn't pitched in 2 years.
Yeah. Glasnow,
and Glasnow, there you go. It's insane. Well, think about too Blake Snell, who they traded to the Padres. Like they just knew. They were like, yeah, we don't need that guy.
And
It's insane.
And it's funny, Joe. I felt like you were going to build to this point was because I thought you were going to talk about the thing, but like I had this thing right in front of me. So the last 5 seasons with the Rays, the opening day payroll, 18, they finished 90 and 72, $76 million payroll. They were ranked 28th. 2019, 96 wins, 30th payroll in the league. 2020, the shortened season, 40 and 20, 28th. 2021, they had 100 wins. They had the 26 million ranked payroll, and then 2022 they were 86 and 76, 25th. So you're talking about
gotta say something.
You're talking about a team that's payroll is literally in the bottom quarter. I'm gonna say quarter of the league. They're pretty much. What was it? Let me just make sure. Their highest was 25th, which was last year. 25th last year. So I don't know what theirs is this year.
And that was their worst season in a few years. Their higher payroll.
And they still got to the postseason.
But it speaks about where in baseball, like you don't need the highest payroll. It does help you. It definitely helps you to get guys like Machado and Harper and Soto and Judge, and have a chance at Ohtani. That doesn't mean you can't win a championship because they're very competitive. And they're in the playoff seems like every year. I mean, you look at the Red Sox and some of these other big teams. So that's why when like you look at like the Pittsburgh Pirates and Cincinnati Reds or some of these teams that have lower payrolls, like, we got no chance. Well, then how are the Rays doing it? In which you would say maybe in the last 5 years, the most competitive division in all of baseball when you're competing against the Yankees and Red Sox and now the Blue Jays who are putting big payrolls in. Now the Orioles are getting competitive, so it's not like the Orioles are that bad team anymore where it's just easy wins. How are the Rays doing?
It's like what Joe said. They develop players better than the league average.
No, I know that.
What else they
baseball
do?
Should look at it and say, okay, what? I don't feel bad for you. Just we're just going to tank? No, the Rays are kind of tanking, but they're taking cast-offs and they're playing smart baseball and they're using the mechanics and the simple things of baseball that are working. They still hit home runs. They still play great defense. They do the basic fundamentals things that we grew up in baseball the correct way. And then they just, and hopefully those things all kind of lead to a path of victory. You figure like, I'll pitch as best as I can. I'll match up well, like Joe was starting the conversation earlier, matchups and things. I'll find guys that, hey, listen, I'm not going to make a guy try to hit 30 home runs when he can't do it. But he could do this. It's almost like Moneyball in a 2022 version, in a better version, and you wish almost Tampa Bay fans appreciated what they really have because they really do have a special team and they're competitive, and every year they're fighting for a playoff spot, if not the number 1 seed in baseball.
They put guys in positions to succeed. If you're a hitter, they make sure you get at bats. If you're a fielder, they get you in the field. If you're a pitcher, and you're good for a couple of innings, they turn you into a reliever no matter who you are or what you make. Yeah. I mean, other teams are constantly trying to shoot. Well, look at the Padres. Again, where you got your first baseman's playing third base and your shortstop's your center fielder, your second baseman's going to play some first base.
Because they're all big-time guys.
Yeah, that's the problem you run into. You're down there in Tampa. You've got no egos. You got a lot of these cast-offs. You got a guy like Drew Rasmussen, and you're like, hey, we're going to reinvent the way you pitch. What's that guy going to say? No, it wasn't going well beforehand. It's like, yeah, I'll take whatever you guys got. And this is what they're doing with it. It's but I love that. Listen, they run guys up there all the time. We've been talking about Wander Franco for a couple of years, and he was going to be a budding superstar over the last 2 or 3 years. And it hasn't happened. They didn't ruin him like the Yankees have done with a Gary Sanchez and guys like that. They sent that kid back down. He hit. They brought him back up. Still didn't quite get it done. They brought him back down, got him straightened out, and now he's totally breaking out. Well, and they've got other guys. The other guy, what's his name? Vajan Barhal. The other one, the shortstop.
They
got another guy. They brought this rookie kid up last year for a few games, and he was terrible. And he's back in the minors. I promise you, he'll be back up this year, and he'll be a superstar because that's what they do. But like Teddy said, it's about fundamentals, and it's about not making mistakes.
Bruhan,
yeah, there you go. Bruhan. That guy's going to be the next big superstar to come out of there. You've got to be able to develop some talent out of your minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be cranking guys out. And really, I mean, you look at the Yankees, outside of Aaron Judge, they really haven't developed anybody or anything.
Well, Volpe, hopefully Volpe, they
Well, we're
do
hoping
well,
for
yeah.
Volpe. We're hoping for Volpe, and it's nice that there's Peraza, but
Dominguez.
But
You
listen,
know?
how many times have we done the show when we talked about Hughes and
You
Kennedy
you guys all went.
listen, and
yeah,
Joe's
you guys
guy Gary
became- you guys
Sanchez and
became
this
good
guy
friends.
and that guy. We have not Esteban Florio, like they're just shipping guys away and like putting
Yeah,
down
and-
like they've never. Listen,
And
maybe
you
it's
guys
not-
and you guys jump on me, and you guys became like the Dudley boys, and you guys would try to put me through a table
no.
or something.
Yes,
Here's
sir.
the other thing.
You guys would be the freaking you guys would try to team up, and it would be me against you guys, because I've been saying it for years.
But I
You
will
guys
also
defend,
say
and
this.
you guys both of you guys, not just you, Ted, but both of you guys would defend the Yankees, and I was the one that was always going against them, like the rebel I am sometimes, and just going against what their system, with the way they work about it. Where to the point that we've had serious conversations on there where we've had arguments about it, and that's
Here's
a
the other
problem.
thing, Trev. It can also come down to the player too at the end of the day, because sometimes players don't work well in New York. Maybe it's the New York media. Like, listen, you shake your head, you close your eyes, but maybe listen, the guy's got all the talent, but when he's playing in the minor leagues, there's no pressure, bud. There really is no pressure. But there's an expectation where he's a superstar as a minor leaguer and he's supposed to come up and succeed as a Yankee.
Look, all I will say like this.
Maybe if he's coming up with the Rays and there's 6,000 people, no one cares. There's no pressure. And the Rays also have more patience in their developmental system. The Yankees don't have that expectation. What have you been saying, crying for the last 12 years as a Yankee fan? We got to win. There's no excuses. There's no such thing as second place. So you either come in, you make an immediate impact, or get the hell out of the way and go to the minor leagues. We need guys that are going to come in and perform off the bat. Other teams, there's not that expectation.
Okay,
At least, listen, I'll put it this way, at least from the outside. I'm not in the system. I would love to get someone on a Yankee reporter like, is there a reason why Yankee guys that have been top prospects that you hear about and think, why have they not developed into at least – they don't have to be superstars. They don't have to be all-star. But why have they become regular Yankees to continue like the guys did in the 90s?
Here's my thing. Here's what I want to say to that. How does Gary Sanchez, I'll just go with this quick example. How does Gary Sanchez go from hitting 20 home runs in 40 games to being cut in a matter of 2 or like 3 years?
Not even
like
in the league.
That's my point. How does that even happen where we were talking about him being the next great catcher in this league, the next great hitting catcher? How does a guy like Jabba Chamberlain or Phil Hughes are supposed to be the next great 1-2 punch for the Yankees? They come up and Jabba Chamberlain, still famous memory, is fighting off bees in Cleveland. Like, how does Esteban Florio supposed to be an all-around 5-tool player in center field? There we go. Why is that? Devi Garcia. Devi Garcia is literally gone.
Louis Gill as well.
Like, how are these guys? That's what I'm trying to say, is that they were so great and during their time in AAA and AA and stuff like that. And then Gary Sanchez comes up and takes the league by storm, and it was like, holy shit, this guy's going to be great. Here we go. The Yankees are going to be fine.
He was going to be the star.
And then 3 years later, he's gone. That's got to be, yes, it's got to be on the player. 100% agree. But you got to have the development. Why do the Rays every year figure out these players when they got no huge ego guys, no big name franchise superstar player? I mean, Wander Franco is going to be there. We get it. The only 2 teams that I can think of that do so well with developing players, one of them is the Tampa Bay Rays, and the other one's out in L.A., the LA Dodgers.
Yep.
How do they do it? And I don't want to hear, well, if the Rays do it, well, the Dodgers do it. And the Dodgers are like the Yankees. They're the top. They're prestige in the baseball world. So how do they do it? But the Yankees continuously go, here you go, on to the next.
Well, is there consistency in the coaching? Because Joe
can't just be on the players then.
Well, no, I get it. Listen, it goes 50-50, bro. Guys got to work and you got to get better, right? You could see Judge's.
And then when you're also telling, like, with the whole Sanchez thing, I don't want to keep harping on the Sanchez thing.
They changed a lot of his mechanics.
Thank you.
And
and you know how people are nowadays. People don't like being told criticism a lot, especially when it's ongoing. Okay, when you get it once in a while, okay, I get it. You want to improve. But when you're getting it left and right, you're like, bam, bro, what do I do? What do I do? You're like, poof. Your whole brain just kaplatters. It just poof. It just goes away. So to see that the Rays, I know it's only 10 games, but to see them consistently for the past 5 years, Ted, 6 years, they've been at the bottom of the payroll, but yet they are in contention in the AL East and they are in contention always for the AL in the past 6 seasons. To me, they remind me, the only big difference is, and it's a big difference, they don't have any titles. They remind me of the San Antonio Spurs, because the Spurs, yeah, they had Duncan, they had Ginobili, they had Parker, Hall of Famers. I get it. But they were never like the Lakers. They were never Hollywood. They were never the glitz and the glamour. They were always just fundamentals. Kevin Cash is a genius when it comes to baseball analytics. Greg Popovich, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. It just reminds me of a team like the Spurs. The only big difference is, and it's a massive difference, different, is the Spurs have 5 titles. The Rays don't have 1, but they have been the ultimate definition of consistency in the AL. Now, they're not like Houston either. I mean, Houston's another team that developed. I know we do not like the Houston Astros.
They developed,
but I'll give them credit. They developed their players.
But I'll put it this way, and Andy, to your side, then Joe can take over. Is at least for a team that's, when I started the conversation earlier about the payroll situation, where you're like, the Pirates can't compete, and the Reds can't compete, and the Orioles can't compete with the Yankees, and this team can't.
Oh, the Orioles are starting to get their shit together.
BS. Because the Rays are competing. Yes, you said, Trev, they're not winning championships, but they're in the playoffs consistently. They're fighting for a position.
They're always in the hunt.
They're always a hunt. They're always a tough out. Doesn't matter who they play. All right. And our biggest nemesis, the Red Sox. Look what the Red Sox are. Talk about a franchise in the last couple of years that have fallen apart.
I mean, they still got the championships, man.
Listen, so do we. But
we haven't had one since I was in high school, G.
But we also live in a world where, what have you done for me lately? That's why
the Yankees haven't done any of that.
Oh, I know. Listen, baseball in general is in a good spot. When we started this conversation, baseball's in a good spot. We can list off at least top 20 players in the league and still miss, like, oh my God, we missed that guy and this guy. I think the baseball in long run, what the changes they've made in the last year with the relievers, I still don't like the extra inning rule. I'd rather that be after the 11th or 12th inning, not the 10th inning where you put the runner on second. Yeah. Listen, I'm not a big fan of that, but I understand. It's all
about the time, man.
I understand it, but in general, baseball's in a really good position because there's a lot of superstars. I think the only thing that hurts baseball a little bit is the guys that play in LA are never in the big time show. And listen, when you have a product, you want, Michael Jordan's your sponsor for Coca-Cola. He should be on every commercial. I don't want the backup singer. All right. And a lot of times you're not getting Ohtani and you're not getting Trout in the big. And here's the thing. I think what set it off is look at what Ohtani and Trout in that situation in the World Baseball Classic. Think about how big that was. They talked about the game, but it was more about the Trout and Ohtani. So to get
freaking memorable.
We got Manning and Brady in the playoffs. That's huge, right? And I get it. Those guys you want to see in the playoffs because they're superstars. Like you want to see the best players.
Yes, that's the thing that hurts baseball
because you see that in basketball.
2 of the 3 biggest superstars are not usually in the playoffs. Mike, when you think of baseball, the 3 guys that come to mind instantly, 2 of them are in LA on the same team, and one of them is in the Big Apple. You get Aaron Judge. You get Aaron Judge in the playoffs. You don't get Ohtani, and you don't get Mike Trout. Those are the 3 best players in baseball, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's so much talent. There's a plethora of talent in baseball, but those are the 3 best players in baseball.
Absolutely.
And you only get 33% of that. 33% of that in the playoffs. That's what kills baseball because you get NFL, you get the big time guys. You always usually get them. You get Mahomes, you get Brady over time, you get Rodgers. You've had those guys over and over. Basketball's the same thing. You've had LeBron, Giannis, Steph, KD. Those guys are always in the playoffs. Baseball, that's the thing that hurts them. They don't always get their superstars in there.
I always feel
and
that
people
way.
love superstars.
And my thing is this: when I say that statement, and Joe, you can take over and run with this. That's where I think you can get the common fan to watch. Ohtani's
if you could get those guys in there
tonight, game 1 against the Yankees in the ALCS.
Yeah.
How many more people are watching? Hey, we got a special guest on the show.
Once he heard Ohtani,
but I'm just saying,
you're 100% right.
You might be able to pull. Say the numbers are 4. You might be able to pull in it. Well, especially because Ohtani's international pull.
I mean, he's huge. Ohtani's huge.
It's huge. So, and for baseball, that's huge. That's money. That's marketing. That's business. That's stealing the show.
Joe, is that the one thing that really kills baseball down the line? Is you don't get
It
those
doesn't kill 'em, it
superstars.
just-
Yeah,
well, you
I
know what I
mean,
mean. But
It's funny. Yeah, I'm sure you guys saw there was a meme going around during the World Baseball Classic, and it showed Trout and Ohtani, and it said, "Imagine if these two were on the same team."
Oh yeah,
Right?
They were on the
Um,
same team.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, listen, I think it just goes to show what kind of sport baseball is. We know that two guys can't carry a baseball team, no
It's not the
matter
NBA.
how good they are. And I think it's such a testament to Tampa Bay, again, that they're able to consistently do this every year without a Trout, an Ohtani, a Judge. You know, they don't have an Alonso. They,
Yeah.
they don't have any of that.
They don't have a
And-
Harper, Machado. They don't have any of those.
Now,
type of
here's
guys.
the other interesting thing. The Boston Red Sox win their championships, Ted, and then they come in last place.
So they're
You
going
know,
to win
They're
this
not
year.
last place
Hold
again.
on.
They're
Then they
gonna win
come
this
in
year.
like third place, and then they get relevant again. They win a championship, and then it goes back to and so
Are
for
the Red Sox going to win a
man,
title before Yankees again?
well, that's a good question. But here's the thing: what would you rather have?
A Yankees World
The
Series.
inconsistency and the championships of the Red Sox, where like it seems every 5 years they hit
give me,
another
give me
one.
that. Give me point. Just give me A. Give me A.
Tampa consistently gets
Nope.
deep into the postseason every year.
Give me A. Just give me A. I answered
Or-
your question.
The Yankees.
Just give me A.
I want the Yankees because I want to be there. You don't have a shot if you're not invited to the party. kid.
95. Hold on. 95 to 100 wins every year.
Okay.
You're going to the postseason. You're always going to win your first round. You're having a little trouble in this second round, especially, when that Houston team's around.
Say goodnight. It's over with.
And we hate that, and it drives us crazy. But I'm saying, if you're a Boston Red Sox fan, are you cool with winning the World Series and then being in last place the next season?
I'll
If
answer
you're the
question for you.
Tampa fan, here's the other thing with Tampa that I think Tampa's done a poor job of doing. If there's one thing I think Tampa's done a poor job of doing, that some of the other teams in the National League, like Milwaukee comes to mind, St. Louis comes to mind, smaller market teams, when you have a lower payroll, one of the things that you do have flexibility is at the trade deadline to go out and get a piece or two that you need when you're in contention. Tampa's not done a great job of doing that.
They've never gone to get like a big piece to take it over the top.
Yeah,
Pitcher or a
Teddy,
hitter.
right? It doesn't even need to be a big piece, like a piece that makes it like that's just never been and it's like, well, if you're going to keep your payroll low, you look at, the last couple years with the Yankees at the trade deadline, it's like they're not going to go get anybody because they don't want to add payroll. And we kind of knew they didn't, so they were being really selective in doing it. And it's like your payroll's really low. And this is where the one thing I think the Rays have failed their fans in is every now and again, just go for it. Just go out there, get that piece. Go get that guy who's going to go get that DeGrom who's going to, get a $400 million contract in the offseason. Go get him for 10 starts. Why not?
Say like the Phillies have a bad season right here, right? Maybe you call the Phillies and say, you know what, how much for Schwarber? I get a DH power hitter to throw in my lineup somewhere. So just listen, some of that list that I know can add pop in the postseason can get really effing hot. And next thing you know, it's like 11. He's got the Gary Sanchez month where it's like, oh my God. And he might be the little difference that could get you, maybe not, but
and couldn't you see Tampa doing that?
Because
if they were to do it,
because if we're Rays fans, like, oh my God, they put an extra piece, like, because we're already good. We already have the pitching staff. We know our team's good enough. We just had, and it brings a little bit more excitement to your team that you're actually going for instead of being like, well, I know we're good, but we didn't do anything extra.
I'm gonna end this with the question that Joe asked that I still want to answer because I still want to answer this. I'd rather be the Red Sox, and you said the Yankees. Here's my thing. Yeah, it's great that the Yankees get to the playoffs, but every time they get eliminated the past 5 or 6 years, what are we talking about? It's the same shit that we've discussed in 2018.
Well, at least I get to talk about them in October instead of.
But yet we get our
Ready?
hopes up. But we get our
Ready?
hopes up all season. We're so
What's the
happy because they're
Yankees-
playing great. And guess what?
What's
They
the Yankees'
disappoint us
biggest
again.
issue right now?
Health.
Aaron Boone.
No.
No!
What is the position wise? What position is got a serious
Third base.
hole right now?
Third base.
No. Third base. We have a Gold Glove third baseman when he's healthy.
Oh, he's injured right now.
Donaldson should have been up for one of the three. Should have been up for the Gold Glove last year.
Center field.
No, Judge is a good. Judge is.
I get it, but Bader's out. But
So
Bader's
for all
out.
intents and purposes, let's say there's
Bader
an
comes in.
outfield
He's your center
spot.
fielder with Judge.
Joe, what is it?
Nightly,
What is it?
nightly, there is a spot in the outfield that is open. That they're Frenchie Cordero, that's cute. You know, and here's an interesting thing.
So I don't
Frenchie
think so. If you
Cordero,
make
hold
the
on.
match-
Frenchie Cordero's got half as many at-bats and half as many hits as Gleyber Torres and as many homers and more RBI. So
Maybe he could
as
be like
good
a
a
Gio.
start as good a start as Gleyber's off to.
Here's-
Somebody's got to take left field. It was a problem last year. It's a problem they didn't address in the offseason.
I don't
This
think he
idea
did.
that Peraza is going to play it or Cabrera or will just sticking somebody out in left field. That's not what the Rays do. The Rays would have gone out and got a guy that could, or a righty and a lefty to platoon out
But
there.
so that's what we
The
did
Yankees-
in '96 and '98. We had Curtis,
And it
we had
worked.
Ledet,
Oh.
I think you can. I think you.
But
can
this
spot-
isn't 96 and
Hold on.
98.
Listen, I think first of all, I think the Yankees win it this year. I think they get over their hump. I really do. But I
I
think the
hope.
left field.
We can only hope, bro.
But I think with the mix and match of Hicks, Peraza, and Franco, I think you have more than enough guys that can suffice the left field, especially when Bader comes back and plays center field and judges your all-day right field. Because now your 2/3 is Gold Glove caliber. And listen, it's not like the guys that you're. If you put Hicks in left field, he's not a slouch defensively. I get it. You're going to complain about his hitting. When you got 7, 8 other guys that hit, just play all. Imagine that outfield though. Who are you running on? Who are you running on in the outfield?
Do you remember last year when Joey Gallo was hitting like a $1.07?
Yeah.
He was hitting like a Trump gas price. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah,
a
oh,
$1.45. It was nice. Now
Did you just say a Trump gas price?
I did. Now the Yankees were like 64-12, and people were like, Joey Gallo sucks. Get rid of it. It's like, oh my God, like they're playing 700 baseball with this 4 strikeout machine on the field. What are you freaking out about? We could do imagine how many more games? No, I don't. I don't think we're gonna win more games. How many more games was there to win? Dude, they were like 50-12. Like there wasn't much more winning to be done beyond what they were doing. Again, we get very spoiled. We want 9 superstars at all the positions, and we want 5 20-game winners. You know,
The
give me a
only
break.
thing I've ever wanted in the past 5 or 6 years is Nolan Arenado
That's not too much to ask.
and Luis Castillo. Did I get that? No, I got Frankie Montas and Josh Donaldson. Thanks. But Joe's happy we got Frankie Montas. Don't forget about that statement. I won't forget about that. Frankie
I'm big
Montas
on
is-
that kid.
Hey, even
Cashman came out and-
Even Cashman said he effed up.
Yeah, no shit.
It's okay. Hey, listen,
Tracy.
listen. At the end of the day, it's okay. Listen, I'm not going to cry about what happened last year. Donaldson comes back. He's a Gold Glove third baseman defensively.
And
He
he's a
could get
guarantee
hot.
out.
And here's the thing. That's why
You
have
know who
DJ
also was a Gold Glove guy in the field? Yeah,
Yes,
Joey
Scott
Gallo.
Scott
How'd that
Brosius.
turn out?
Guess
How'd that
what?
turn out?
Listen, that's why you have DJ LeMahieu who can play first, second, and third.
Think about how
We'll
much
see.
worse the Yankees were last season after they traded Joey Gallo.
Don't say that. I don't even remember. I don't
Go
even-
look at their record. I think they might have been under 500 without Joey Gallo last
Yeah, but
year.
I think that's when they went through their rut. That wasn't Joey Gallo's fault.
Joe comes on and starts getting the support of Joey Gallo again. He wants the Joey Gallo back. Joe, what are we gonna do about you?
He's hurt right this minute too, but he's hitting like 375. You guys see that? He's got like 3 dingers already.
He plays for Minnesota.
It's chill out there, man. Gary looked good out there last year too.
Yeah, Gary's
Now,
in like
now
the
he's playing in
Gary's
San
like,
Juan.
yeah.
Yeah. No, he just signed with the Giants.
Did he?
Oh
He
yeah,
signed
minor
with the
league
Giants.
contract.
Yeah, and there's a chance that he could get some reps. They're saying
So
that there's a
secretly-
chance.
Joe's gonna be happy about this. He's back.
Because it's dude.
back.
Like Teddy said, there was a point there where Sanchez
Was supposed
was
to be
the
the judge.
superstar of New York, not Aaron Judge. And We've talked about this extensively. They ruined that guy. And it was again, you don't get rid of Tony Pena and Joe Girardi and all these wonderful defensive incline catchers around him. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's find nobody. Let's get a bench with nobody that knows catching here. That's great. Let's get some guy. Maybe we'll get Matt Blake's bullpen coach from high school that he was coaching at or whatever. Give me a break. Consistency in coaching is so important. The Rays, you look at a team like the Angels when they had Mike Scioscia there. For years, they had great teams there. It was the consistency in the managing. Joe Madden, I'm telling you, that's what you need. That's where you teach fundamentals. You get a Greg Popovich, like you said. You teach the fundamentals. You keep everybody humble. That's why you can have a Robinson and a Duncan and not have egos and still have a really cohesive unit. That's where baseball, if you're doing it right, you want to do it like the Rays, that's where it's at.
Amen to that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Joseph McGuire finishing us off.
Back, baby.
He's back. But baseball's back. We got 2 weeks in, so we'll see. NBA playoffs are about to be starting tonight. The play-ins tonight. And we still got the ongoing soap opera that is Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson dominating the NFL headlines. OBJ is now a Baltimore Raven. NFL draft coming up on 2 weeks. We'll have our latest and final mock draft coming out within the next week.
Last thing I got to point out about Lamar Jackson. I saw a meme this morning and it was like Lamar $30 million a year in his prime. No way. And then underneath it, it's like banged up LBJ $18 million a year. Yes.
Yeah, OBJ. I don't get it. Gets $18 million, but Lamar can't get a freaking
no
contract.
sense there. What are they doing?
We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next episode. We are Keys of the City. We are out.